I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Do your own research. Consult a professional investment advisor before making any investment decisions. This show is for entertainment only. Faites vos propres recherches.
Here we are
in another episode
of the Simple Success Podcast.
And
this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective.
What's that? What's what, DT? The thing you're talking about today. Oh, DT, the thing we always talk about? Coaching happiness. It's what we talk about every week, remember?
We are going to start our talk today by talking about the history of AI. This will be followed by a discussion of what we mean when we say...
What was I thinking? My bad. I must have been recovering from the weekend. What'd you do on the weekend, DT? Nothing too dramatic, but we're here to talk about something different, right? Are you sure you don't want to talk about your weekend escapades? Positive. I am sure that financial coaching is more interesting. And speaking of that, what do you want to achieve today? Well, today we're talking about paradoxical intentions. Huh? Paradoxical intentions? Sounds like some self-contradictory statement. I'm thinking about what you're saying, but do go on. Like, the final rule you need to remember is to ignore all rules? That is a paradox right there. Today, though, we're looking at paradoxical intentions, an approach that was discovered by Viktor Frankl. Some kind of therapist or something? He was a psychiatrist who survived Auschwitz in World War II. Oh, the guy who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. Yes, DT, he was a very famous psychologist. He created this theory called logotherapy, which basically says that people often get stuck in their lives because they don't know how to live meaningfully. They don't know how to find purpose in life. Really? And so he came up with this idea that if you could identify what you wanted out of life, even though it might not be realistic, then you'd be able to make progress towards that goal. So what is logotherapy? Well, let me put it another way. Logotherapy is used to help people deal with adversity. Really? And it has to do with Frankl's paradoxical intentions? Yes, DT. One can use those paradoxical intentions as a tool to figure out why they're not living up to their potential. Really? How does that work? Well, let's say you've been working hard at your job. You've been putting in long hours, and you feel like you're finally getting somewhere. You're making some money, and you feel good about yourself. Everything is going great. Yep. Then suddenly, you realize that you haven't been spending enough time with your family, or you haven't been taking care of yourself, or you haven't been exercising, or haven't been eating healthy. You haven't been doing any of these things that you should be doing. I like to call those bargains, not excuses. But you aren't doing what you know may fix your situation. So, fear is the motivation behind my focusing solely on work? Yes, DT. If you can overcome these fears, then you'll start to act on your own behalf. You'll start to take care of yourself. You'll start to exercise and eat healthier and spend more time with family. The balancing game. Well, that sounds like a lot of work. Well, it is. It takes effort and it takes discipline and willpower. It takes courage and self-awareness and even, dare I say it, responsibility. Why is this so hard?
It's all in your mind.
Okay, I'll get over it being hard. So how would you use paradoxical intention techniques to overcome these fears? Good question. Once you acknowledge that you have these fears, then you just need to probe a little further. I like role-playing. That wouldn't be a problem. Good. Now, examine questions like, what are you afraid of when it comes to failing? What are you afraid of if someone finds out you made a mistake? What are you afraid of will happen if you don't get promoted or if you fail? Okay, what next? Once you identify what it is you're afraid of, then you need to examine it. You need to really look at it and understand why you're afraid. And most important, you need to figure out whether or not there's something that you could do to change the situation. After writing them down, what next? You use paradoxical intentions to overcome these fears. How so? Paradoxical intentions helps you by giving you an alternative perspective. When you're thinking about the problem and you're trying to solve the problem, you tend to focus on the negative aspects of the problem. So what do we do instead? Instead of focusing on the negatives, you need to focus on the positives. Instead of focusing on why you shouldn't do it, you need to focus instead on why you should do it. Instead of focusing on what might happen if you don't do it, you focus on what will happen when you do it. I know another interesting example. You do? Please go ahead. Giving speeches in front of people creeps me out. Really? Why's that? I think of all the things that could go wrong. Like what if I forget my lines? What if I trip and fall? What if I stumble and make a fool of myself? What if my heart rate rises so much I have a heart attack? Interesting. How can you use paradoxical intentions to overcome these fears? By shifting the mind from anticipatory fear. Exactly. Paradoxical intention gives you an alternate perspective. Instead of focusing on the negatives, you shift to the positives. Instead of focusing on what you don't, you focus on what you do. Instead of focusing on all the reasons why you shouldn't, you focus on why you should. Right. Even rising up from an otherwise tragic situation like a failure, that requires a different focus. And failure is sometimes a redirection. Right, DT. Hill says, opportunity often comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary defeat.
Napoleon Hill quote detected.
But it's mostly hard to have that point of view, especially if you fail while trying to act brave. Right. So here's where paradoxical intentions come into play. I need another example to get rid of my anticipatory anxiety. Okay. That's based on your desires. Like maybe you desire to build a business, or you desire financial security, or you desire to save money, or desire to travel around the world. Or maybe you just desire to learn some other new skills, or a relationship with someone special. That's too many examples. Well, that's part of it. And paradoxical intentions are a way to keep yourself motivated. They give you a reason to go after one objective while simultaneously keeping you focused on other objectives as well. Tell me more from that angle. Many people are afraid of doing certain things. You can use paradoxical intention therapy to overcome that fear. By doing what exactly? PPR. Practice, persistence, repetition. Even if I'm afraid? Afraid of what, DT? Are you afraid of driving? Whatever. Anyway, consistency is doing that which you are afraid of, which will help you eliminate that fear. Well, I guess you don't suffer from insomnia. Did you know that paradoxical intention is also a therapeutic technique used to cure insomnia? I'm good on that. I can sleep anytime I want to. Well, good for you. But did you know that in other people, the anxiety of insomnia begins to take over all their functioning? DT, are you still with me? We need something to stay alert, right, DT? Did someone mention my name? Yes, I did. And what do you need to stay alert? Something rejuvenating so we can continue. Oh, right. Something like...
Break number 1.
Hello, everyone. This is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us. Please head over to the support link in our written show notes. That's the words on your podcast player. There, you can choose from a $9.99 per month doing level of support, a $4.99 knowing level, or a basic intro level of just 99 cents per month. Great place to start, whichever you choose. Thank you so much for helping us do this for you. And to leave us a voice message, which just might see the light of day in a future podcast, go to those same written show notes. You'll go to a site where you can leave a video, audio, or text-only message, depending on how you feel at the moment. You can also send us an audio file attached to an email if you use just more than your phone for stuff. I won't repeat those links because weird. And anyway, show notes. It's all in there, and it's all easy. You were talking of insomnia before the break. Not my problem, though. Well, why do you want me to talk about it then? It might just help someone get cured of insomnia. But that's not the problem that bothers you, you said. What concerns you is the cure. I am a very caring person. You'd be surprised. If you say so. So you're doubting me? Who's doubting who? Okay, never mind. I'm not doubting anything. Back to insomnia and paradoxical intentions. In the context of insomnia, performance anxiety can inhibit sleep. It happens to me when I have a big event planned the following day. Really? I thought this wasn't your problem. How does that happen? The more I think of sleeping, the more I stay awake. Well, do the opposite. Tell yourself you have to stay awake longer. Oh, in other words, stop thinking of lack of sleep and do something constructive. Smart guy. You're welcome. So, how do I use paradoxical intentions to achieve success? Paradoxical intentions are a way to keep yourself motivated. They give you a reason to go after one objective while simultaneously keeping you focused on other objectives as well. Like overcoming the fear of driving and becoming the best driver in my family? Well, if those are your goals, yes. Oh, and not worrying about a lack of sleep. That's right, DT. See, you achieved a goal that you were not even conscious of. Which is? Gaining important information which will influence your subconscious mind. Isn't that a paradox? Turning what you hate into what helps you? Sounds like a good thing to me. Perceptions can be deceiving. If you say so. If I say what? Well, not just yet. But that doesn't mean I hate books or anything. But I get it. Paradoxical intentions could be a treatment of insomnia. Yeah, it could also be a treatment for other stuff like fear of poverty or lack of knowledge and skills. And how will these help me? It might get you out of the vicious cycle of poverty. Is this some sort of Socratic dialogue? What do you think? Positive thinking, John. Positive thinking. Achieving a state of positive thinking requires some work.
That would be an interesting angle.
The first step is to recognize that you are in the process of changing your thoughts. Why is that? You can't change what you don't see, so if you're not seeing something as good or bad, then it's not really there for you to think about. Every time I decide that I am not thinking negative thoughts, guess what floods my mind? Negative thoughts. Well, why do I think negative thoughts when I've resolved not to have them? Because you are thinking about negative thinking. I don't get it. The mind gravitates toward whatever you think about. So if you are thinking about something negative, you will be attracted to that. So the paradox here is that resolving not to think negatively attracts negative thoughts? Exactly. Try thinking positive thoughts instead. Right, try thinking positive thoughts instead. If you're always thinking about something positive, you will be attracted by that and in turn attract it. What other positive things can I attract by positive thinking? Good health, happiness, success. What about love? Well, that too, and friendship. A positive outlook on life naturally attracts people. Yes. Can we use paradoxical intentions to achieve a break? Which break are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Really, DT? Are you speaking in a coded language now? No, it's plain English. We can go on and on about this.
But first, break number 2.
We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. So as soon as you're done with that, tell us your story. We have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a message. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know if that happens. The reason for subscribing? I thought you'd never ask. When you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. It just happens in your player without you having to go search again. How cool is that? This means better rankings for the podcast, more attention from advertisers, and more money. And this means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, whatever app and from whatever place you like. And don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. We're changing the way we look at things, and remember, that's good. Eso es bueno, Sybil. Also remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. Our call to action is right in the show notes. Find it, and you win too. So, how do we tie this Viktor Frankl thing to investing? Paradoxical intentions can be used in the investing context in a number of ways. Like which one? You mean one's not one, but some people suffer from anxiety disorders that hinder them from investing. How now? They could be terrified of poverty and losing everything. So they don't take what? Investment risks? Yes, DT. They end up stagnating in their fear of failure. How can they get unstuck? Face their fears by investing even a small amount to start. Then, increase the amount you invest gradually. You can invest in stocks, trust funds, or even real estate. How would I know which is the best place to invest? By trying different things with positive coaching and support. But I have trust issues. Do you mean you have a trust fund? Oh yes, that is a great investment avenue. No, I mean, how do I trust an individual to give me the right advice on where to invest my money? What you constantly think of, you attract. If you constantly think of being defrauded or misled, you will meet some dishonest people. So, do I throw out all caution because I don't want to jinx myself? There's a difference between conducting due diligence and being paranoid, you know. What is that difference? Due diligence is sensible, and all of us should think critically before throwing our money into scams. However, paranoia is overcaution and even unjustified suspicion. Overcaution? Yes, overcaution. How much is enough caution? I will refer you to Think and Grow Rich on that one. It's one of the manifestations of FOP. FOP? What is that? Something we all learned at summer camp. Really? No, well, maybe. Anyway, it's fear of poverty. Oh, I don't fear poverty. You know, for someone who studies and claims to have read the book, you know so much. Are you now being sarcastic? No, I am just pointing out a paradox I have noticed here. A little existential analysis, if you will. How are paradoxical intentions related to this? You could use paradoxical intentions to achieve your reading goals. Tell yourself, I am now not learning from this. That sounds weird. Maybe, but it works as long as you know to avoid any exaggerated responses. Start with this book that you keep postponing reading. It's a great type of therapy. Behavioral therapy? Could be, doesn't have to be. Is this an ambush? No, just try PPR. Remember, patience, persistence, repetition with the book. You might end up developing a taste for reading. Yeah. Practice, persistence, repetition. Practice, persistence, repetition until you find out you actually love reading. I'm going to try out this PPR stuff with reading. There's no try. There's just do. Do is the real meaning of life. Right, Yoda. I am going to do it. And don't forget to practice what you read there. It reflects in your investment choices. And my savings too? Especially your savings, which, remember, is just investing in yourself. Yeah, I guess you did say that was also investing. And it is. And it is a big part of our winning and our listeners' winning. We're winning here. We're in it to win it, as is said. And practice it and repeat it with great subscription options.
Which is how you've all gotten good.
Gracias por escuchar.
Salut. À la prochaine.
This podcast and our other podcast are productions of Little Red Hen Industries. The supporting cast who helps me bake the bread includes
Techno King, John C. Brandy, Fact Checker, Abraham Lincoln, Script Consultant, OpenAI, Language Consultant, Ever Evolving, Media Expert, Favor Abassi EK, Psychologist, William James, Rabbit Hole Advisor, Dr. Mark Barrett, Sound Designer, Goodly Amo Marconi, Videographer, Alfred Hitchcock, Inspiration, many podcasts and other sources, and of course Napoleon Hill.
We also have websites, and you can subscribe to both podcasts and get ebooks and other great stuff. You can send us a video, audio, or text message, but of course, you'll have to head to the show notes, either on your phone or on the web, to actually get links and stuff. And those clickable links are in the show notes.
And before we forget, the artificial intelligence or AI voices you hear in our work come from Google, Amazon Polly, OpenAI, and the online tone generator linked in the show notes.
Finally, you can find us on podmatch.com and matchmaker.fm, where we consider guests and guesting on other pods.
And really finally, the music for our pods comes from Cute by Ben Sound and from Piano Background by Nick Simon Adams. The sound effects credits go to Jackson Academy Ashmore, Canoe CG, Dr. Jekyll, Joe Payne, Everything Sounds, MK Play More Stories, ERH, Sand Emotions, Big Pickle 51, and Just Kidding. Yes. That's his or her name, all on freesound.org.